Welcome, dear students, to our next chapter of Bio, chapter number 8. How do organisms reproduce? But before I begin with this chapter, I would like you to give a thought that why do organisms reproduce? Is it necessary to maintain the life of an individual organism? Like other life processes like nutrition, respiration, or excretion, is reproduction also important? Moreover, a lot of energy is required for this process. But why do organisms reproduce? So now, you might have thought, and various answers might have come to your mind. But the next main important thing is that they reproduce to continue their race. If the organisms would not have reproduced, how would we have been able to see such species? So, what is reproduction? Reproduction, by the word itself, we can understand that it is to reproduce. It is defined that the organisms are producing the same type of organisms. Here is the definition and the keywords. Next, we can see that it is the process where new individuals are produced. Why they are produced? To survive and increase in the population of that particular species. If there is no reproduction, the population will decrease and the species will become extinct. So now we know that it is a very important process. Though it is not necessary to maintain the life of an individual, but for the continuity of the race it is very much important. Now in this process, what happens actually? We have studied in our 9th standard also, DNA copying is the basic event in reproduction. So what is DNA copying? One DNA is going to copy and form another DNA, which is going to the offsprings. But can alone a DNA can survive which has been copied? No. So for that, it is having its material also will be copied, and in that event the whole system will work. The DNA we know, deoxyribonucleic acid. These are the molecules in the chromosomes which are responsible for the transfer of characters from the parents to the offsprings. But during reproduction, the reproductive cells produce two copies of the DNA which separate into two cells. The DNA copies will be similar but not identical to each other. This we have to keep in mind. They are not going to be exactly identical copies. Some or the other variation will occur. So the new individuals have slight variations from their parents. This is the basis for variation and evolution of new species. See, consistency of DNA copying is important for the maintenance of the body, and variation which is occurring along with the copying of the DNA, it is going to help the species to live in adverse environmental conditions. Here is one in-text question of your NCERT textbook, page number 128. What is the importance of DNA copying in reproduction? Hope now you understand it. Why is variation beneficial to the species but not necessity for the individual? Here on the next page there is an activity where we are going to see what we have to do. Here a very simple activity is there. Dissolve about 10 gram of sugar in 100 ml of water. Take 20 ml of this solution in a test tube and add a pinch of yeast granules to it. Put a cotton plug on the mouth of the test tube and keep it in a warm place. After 1 or 2 hours, put a small drop of yeast culture from the test tube on a slide and cover it with a cover slip. After this, you will observe it under the microscope. But as just now we can't have this activity, so I am going to share a video for this where you can see how this activity is conducted.
Let us take up another activity which shows how asexual reproduction occurs. For this activity, we need filter paper, yeast powder, dropper, cover slip, iodine for staining, glass slide and 10% sugar solution. We prepare sugar solution by adding 10 grams of sugar to 100 ml water. Now we take up this sugar solution in a beaker and add a pinch of yeast powder to it. Shake the solution and leave it for half an hour in a warm place. We have prepared the solution half an hour earlier. Now, using a dropper, we pour a drop of the solution on a slide. Add a drop of iodine, mix it so that the yeast cells take up the stain. Now take a cover slip and place it very gently using a needle on the slide. Remove the extra stain with the filter paper. Our slide is ready. Now observe this under high power of microscope. We observe the round cells of yeast are visible and there is a small outgrowth from these cells. The small outgrowth is a bud which comes out from the parent cell. The bud grows into a mature cell and detaches from the parent cell. This grows into a new individual. This type of reproduction is called budding. And budding is a type of asexual reproduction.
Now when you have watched the video, your concept might have got more cleared how the budding in yeast is observed. And here is a pic of your own biolab. Do read the chapter, try to write the answers and prepare for the next topic.